One, two, three, go.
Happy New Year, happy spring. It's the first day of spring. Sala
Yeah.
noti mubarak.
So we are Iranian, and yesterday was the Iranian New Year
Not
called
yesterday,
Nowruz.
I would say today, yesterday 11
11:30
p.m.
p.m. It's considered
It's
yesterday. Yeah.
it's the only celebration that happens at the same time around the world. It's really cool.
Same time around the world. What do you mean?
Well, Salat Tahfil is one Salat Tahfil. Everyone in Iran, everyone here, everyone everywhere in the world celebrates it at the exact same time together.
Isn't it the same with Christmas or other?
No. New Year's
Elaborate.
happens 12 a.m. like Western New
Oh,
Year's
true, true, true. Yeah,
happens
yeah, yeah.
12 a.m. when it turns 12 a.m.
When it
But
turns,
for us, every single time it's the exact same time
yeah,
everywhere.
good point, good point.
It's a cool little so we live in
Fact.
Toronto, for you that don't know, it's snowing.
Why?
But
Why?
it breaks my heart to see this in spring, but
Funny because a week ago it
it was
was
18 degrees.
full on summertime. It
Yeah, it was
was
18 degrees.
amazing, and I was even in Christmas it was warmer than now.
But and I would say in a week or two we're gonna go back to spring. I mean, we'll have spring, and I'm excited for that.
I
I'm
hope so.
excited for that because when we have spring, when we have good weather, that means people will put more stuff outside, and we can use our app more.
And it's starting, man. When I walk outside, the number of objects outside are like 5 times more than a month ago.
Yeah, and I see that too, and I think once it's warm, because again, it's looking quite white outside right now. It's no, I see snow. I don't like it. But when it's warm, it's gonna be much more.
Much more. Yeah, so
Uh
that's exciting for us and challenging because it's like a test to the app, and
oh yeah.
we you kind of don't want to miss the next few months. And
Next,
if we miss it after it snows again, we have to wait another year
yeah,
for us to test the app.
we
So we
don't
don't
wanna
want to miss this
miss the
opportunity.
boom. Oh, we got
Uh,
more stuff. Wow.
After Nowruz, one thing that I wanted to talk about before addressing app and technological issues that we always go over
Okay.
was showing my gratitude to the Daniels program at U of D, which is where I studied the past 7 years of my life.
Yeah, you spent a good
And
amount there.
I, the program kind of raised me. And I went there when I was a kid. I went there when I was 18, 17-ish, and I left the program when I was 24. So that's a lifetime. And during that lifetime, I got to meet, like, you've been there and you know them now.
Yeah, and
They're
we went
different
there
from
we
other
went there last
programs.
week. It's very homey, like definitely compared to where I was for 6 years. Like definitely it was very more community oriented than my experience as an engineering graduate. Because for us in undergrad, we're so many people, you're just lost in the amount of people that just come and go through that department. And even in graduate school, it's not like the community that I saw, because last week we went to Daniels, and I truly saw what he means by it being a tiny little community with people supporting you.
People
And
know you, everyone knows each other.
yeah,
Profs actually care about you. And one thing that I noticed when I was in Daniels, I used to call the profs by their first name. And we learned that it's a normal thing to do at Daniels, no matter how old the prof was or what position they were in. And then I think it was actually Helia. She was emailing one of her profs, and she was like typing, "Dear Professor blah blah,"
yeah, me
and I'm,
too.
I'm like,
Yeah, I was a
"What are
doctor.
you
I
doing?
called,
There? What's their name?"
I addressed my professor or doctor.
Yeah, and I'm like, too much ego, and that's something that I didn't notice in my program, and that is just a symbol to the attitude inside the program, how the profs see themselves in relation to you. They're like a mentor that kind of guide you through this journey, but they're not above you. That's a feeling that I received.
No, that's great. That's great to communicate to your students. And again, as a secondary observer, I saw that when last week when we went, and I saw how much you had this heartwarming feeling for yourself. You're like, oh, I'm always gonna be part of this family. Look at that.
There are one aspect of it is the personal relationships that you build throughout the years and hopefully you can maintain. The other aspect is since there are a lot of creatives who've gone on um, non-linear paths in their lives, who are researchers, uh, who are open to new possibilities
Hmm.
and new things, experimenters. When you go to them with new ideas or things that are not grounded in anything tangible, they can support you. They can
Yeah,
see
they've gone through the non-linear path.
the non-linear path and they get excited and they and I'm assuming, I'm not sure, the reaction in an engineering department or any other department would be a bit different.
I think it would be too. I mean, the the older I get, the more I realize no one really has a linear path. Like, linear paths are an illusion to a certain degree. I'm sure whoever made it into academia didn't straight up go to academia. That's usually not the case. But yes, the experience that we had last week with your faculty and your professors, that's definitely unique to probably you guys, as far as I know. Again, because I only know my professors, which were like engineering, and like our friends who are in the sciences, their professors are about the same as engineering in terms of how close you can get to them. But no, you guys, it's
Now, what
something
about the
special.
ideation phase of any project? What about the support that you could possibly like? It's a question.
I
If
don't
you
know.
went to your faculty with the
I don't
same
know.
Stoop idea, how would your
Probably not as great of a reception that we received from you guys, but I don't know. I can't
maybe we can
comment.
test that. Maybe we can test that in
We
the
could,
next time.
yeah, maybe we
Maybe we can
could.
visit your faculty too.
You go say hi.
And then we can make a point. We can like have two
You're like,
presidents
we
and we can
went to
compare them.
both, and these guys are better.
And
Anyways,
why it's important is because, first of all, again, we are at the early stages of this company, and self doubt is the biggest element, especially when you
oh
haven't
yeah,
received the feedback that you want to receive. And uh, receiving any form of support, either emotional or knowledge wise, from any person that you respect is extremely valuable, extremely heartwarming and motivating. And that's what we kind of needed, and that's what we kind of received last week.
yeah,
And we need mentors. We need mentors that can walk with us in this journey and be thankfully found. I think we have three mentors now, which we met through the Daniels program, and very exciting to us.
no, I agree 100%. We definitely appreciate people that can walk this path with us, help us, just to talk, help just to talk, and that's huge. That's huge for us because you're right. Self-doubt is the biggest factor right now as we're doing this, as we're going through this. And yeah, let's jump into some technical aspects, eh?
Yeah, so last week, again, this is a blessing. This is a curse of a blessing. Uh, we had like around 100 images, 100 photographs
Yeah.
from pre-loved objects on the streets of Toronto, and it was amazing to see this amount of support and this amount of community
Usage, yeah,
activity.
as app usage, yeah.
But at the same time, it showed the vulnerabilities in our system because we
And that
had tested the app with 5 or 10 pictures, but this time it was unprecedented in its own scale, and
and
we
that's
can
the only way
walk
we
us
could have
through
done it.
the
Yeah.
problem that we faced.
Yeah, and that was the only real way because again, when it comes to any new app, especially when it's a team of two developing and building it, uh you're gonna see the vulnerabilities as people use the app. As you scale, you're gonna see what the pitfalls are, what the technical shortcomings are, and that's all part of it. And we are grateful that we got to experience this quite early to see, okay, what do we have to do? So yeah, as he was saying, when you have a lot of pictures, we saw that loading times could be quite slow, and that's mainly because, well, we've been testing a lot on Wi-Fi speeds, but when you have real world data speeds on your phone because you're outside, it's considerably less. And there were a few optimizations that we did, which I would share with you now. Last time, as you remember, I had a hat on. It was called my bug finding app.
Mhm.
Hat. Now it's off. We found some bugs. We made some optimizations, and we're happy right now until the next version. So we're on version 1.2 right now. So we did two updates, 1.1 and 1.2. They were pretty close to each other because 1.1 didn't address everything we wanted it to address. So far as an optimization, we went from every image being around 5 megabytes. So 3 to 5 megabytes was the average image size that was stored in our backend. We went to 50 to 150 kilobytes. That's a threefold decrease.
Mhm.
And that's really what we wanted. So we compressed the images without really hitting the quality of the images because again, we're not an image posting app like Instagram, but even Instagram compresses a lot, and I think our compression methods are on par. So the images there is pretty clear, but it's gonna be much less in volume. So that helps everything speed up when you're loading it. You're not gonna load 3 megabyte, 4 megabyte images. You're gonna load 50 kilobyte images, which
Mhm.
is great. And at the same time, I introduced a few optimization downloading queues. So now when you open the app, it's not going to be 100 pictures downloading at the same time, taking away your bandwidth and downloading abilities. It's going to be every, for example, 5, 10 images at a time. That way, there's a cap on how many it will concurrently download, and it will pretty much make the whole process smoother. Now, is there any more optimization to be done? Yes, of course. As we grow this, we're going to have more optimization done. But for now, we're addressing it as we're going, and that's really all we can. We're happy that that's how we're
I
doing
think
it.
that's the right and organic way to tackle this issue because, again, as we even before making the app and releasing it, we were talking about Stoop, and we got to the realization that so much of what we plan to envision probably is going to change, and so much of it depends on the feedback that we receive. So even now, what I'm noticing is when our users are even posting the pictures of the objects found in the street, I'm seeing patterns. I'm seeing different ways they're labeling them. And I think even slowly observing those patterns and noticing how they use the app, we can even make adjustments to that. Maybe we can have some cues that they can use, or even later in the later versions when we start introducing the AI functionality to it, we can even make it easier. That's one thing. The other thing is it's something that we're gonna elaborate more on when we make it more tangible and when we uh, move out of the ideation stage is this whole idea of creating a community that
We're already so the ideation stage is always going to be with us. We're already moved into the actualization of it but we're
Mhm.
always going to be expanding on the idea, building on the idea. I think that's a
No, I'm
better way
saying
of.
that the other idea that we are
Oh,
developing.
we're talking about future. Yes, yes, you
I'm
are
not
correct.
gonna spill it,
So we're
but
not going to spill the
in
beans on that. But yes, the future
the,
vision.
this whole notion of creating a community and this whole notion of having a platform where people help people directly doesn't need to end with furniture. And
Yeah,
it's just a glimpse to the possibility that it can have. And to
it's a
me,
glimpse of the potential that
the
this
potential
platform can have.
can have. And that to me is very exciting. And
Yeah, that's probably the
I
most
mean,
exciting part.
uh,
It's probably the most exciting part because uh by doing this, like by us realizing the potential and being able to provide it through our platform, it's it means the possibilities are endless. The ability again, the ability to help the community connect directly with each other is huge. It's a huge deal. And that's what we're
one,
gonna work off of.
I think this is an issue that other platforms also face. But one question that we should slowly discuss is how are we going to moderate this platform? So far, we are lucky that the way it's being used is the way we expected it,
Intended usage. Yeah.
intended that it's going to be used. At what point should we assert our role as the moderators of this platform? And the other question is, do we even need a moderator? Like,
Well,
does it need to be curated, or does it are we just
can it run freely? Well, yes and no. The the no part is that through legislation 20, 30 years ago, you're not responsible for what other people post on your platform. But that being said, you can't allow anything and everything to morally be posted on your platform. For example, you can't have illicit substances on your map and you being okay with that. That's illegal and wrong.
Mhm.
Now, even though the city might not be able to sue you over that, you still don't want your platform becoming such a space because then it's gonna deviate from the actual goal and that's gonna completely ruin your image and reputation. So when it comes to illegal uses of our platform, there definitely needs to be some form of automated moderation
Mhm.
because no matter what we do, if the users increase to an amount more than our capabilities to manually moderate it, it's just impossible for us to go over it. So most likely with how I see AI is moving and how plugins are becoming more common to use with different AI LLMs, we can definitely take advantage of that and definitely plug in some moderating features that align with our pretty much rules. And they're going to be basic rules. They're not going to be, we're not going to uh, pull a meta type of situation. We're good.
That's the thing I wanted to talk about, because when you say legality, when you use the words legality,
Mm,
rule, and illicit, and these are all broad terms that sometimes take advantage. They get take
yeah,
advantage,
yeah, exactly. You're right.
and because we have various precedents for that, we can talk
Mm,
about Meta, we can talk about Google, and we can talk about X.
yeah,
And all these guys are moderating, all these guys are aware of the rules around their apps and their platforms, but we're seeing different outcomes and we're seeing different approaches.
yeah.
Today I was listening to a podcast. Did you listen to it, by the way?
I
Lex
listened
and
to a third of it so far.
Mhm.
I
One thing
haven't been
that
able to finish it so far, but go on.
you're gonna love it. I know you're gonna love it. One thing they mentioned is they were talking about Gemini and the entire backlash
Mm.
that happened with Gemini, and
Entire
how
saga that's going on with it. Yeah.
one thing that Sam Altman mentioned, which I found it a word of wisdom, pretty much, was um, the problem is not Gemini being the way it is. The problem is that they're not transparent with their rules. Like, you know
Mm-hmm.
that there are a set of rules in Google that is causing this outcome in image processing or in content creation. That's fine as if you are transparent with
If
the
you're
formula.
disclosing it, yeah.
So maybe one thing that we can take note of and we can apply for Stoop is make transparent,
Transparency. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
those regulations that we can have, and we can post it online. We can post it on
Yeah.
the website on the.
And that's what we stick by. Exactly. That's great.
No, we don't have even we don't have to stick by it. We are even open to conversations and dialogues and
No, I mean what we put,
oh
we're not gonna go behind the scenes and do other things. That
yeah.
means we're gonna stick by what we say and we are open to dialogue and everything. But yeah, for sure. Again, X, like formerly Twitter, does this in a very actually responsible way because they don't allow anything illegal. Even though they are first, and again, I'm just talking through X and I'm just factoring all of us from this. So, as a case study, Twitter, how they do it is they look at illegal things and they just completely disallow that to be on the platform. And
Mhm.
that's not saying that they don't support free speech. They actually support free speech while not allowing illegal content on the platform. And by illegal content, I mean very specific illegal content. For example, uh, there was a lot of catfishing that was going on Twitter,
Mhm.
uh, and predatorial content for like underage minors and stuff like that. That's all illegal. That's all banned. And they remove a huge chunk with their algorithm every single day. And they were testifying in Congress, the CEO of X, saying how they remove all those contents. So I think, yeah, by having guidelines and that works within the boundaries of law and your own uh, pretty
Morality.
much
That
morality and what you want the platform to be, that's how it can be guided.
mhm.
And transparency is the biggest part. You have your rules, you have your set of rules, you post it on your website for everyone to see, and that's how you moderate it.
Yeah. So that's that. And I think this time we are having a longer form
Yeah, we're gonna
podcast, which
yeah,
I actually
because we
like.
missed a couple of days. It's with the whole New Year's and stuff like that, so it's nice to have a longer talk.
We missed a couple of days, and also I think there's also value to the longer form podcasts because some ideas you need to go on tangents and you need to like
Yeah,
diversify
definitely,
the dialogue
definitely.
to understand the core of it. Yeah.
There's the value that comes with long form content, especially I think that's why people I think are gravitating towards that type of content too. If you realize, because through social media, what happened is that our attention span, especially our generation,
Hmm.
and everyone that is younger than us, this attention spans just went down the drain. It got
Hmm.
shorter so much, and it became something that everyone's more conscious of today, and everyone wants long form content. That's why long form podcasts are so popular these days, because everyone's trying to consciously overcome this limitation that was sort of that they grew up with, right?
I would disagree with that. I don't think we listen to long form podcasts to uh, go against the flow of the short attention span. I think it's just an innate gravitation that you have towards truth, and what in I think we are feeling is for sure the short contents that we see on social media is not where we can achieve it, and you need a longer, more mature form of
You
conversation
were
to
talking
feel
about being the fulfillment. That's what you mean?
not the fulfillment. For example, even on X or Instagram, when you see little videos of Sam Altman talking about an issue, or even the recent lawsuit against him by
Elon.
Elon,
Mm.
you might you might see that when they make the videos or the statements short, it's easy to misjudge them and it's easy to abuse them. But when you listen to a 2 3 hour podcast, it's
You have context. There's
you have
context.
context and
Yeah.
you have a mature, complex dialogue that it's much easier to decipher truth from it. The
I
truth
can get on board with that.
of that subject.
I can
If
get
you're talking
on
about,
board with that concept. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's the intrinsic value of this long form podcast.
I would say the spark would be the conscious decision to listen to some more long form podcasts, but the appeal and the value is what you said. I can agree with that.
Mhm. And I
Um,
think that's something that we are also gravitating towards in creating. Like we want to create longer
yeah,
form.
and this is probably the longest one we're gonna have. It's how much? It's so far it's 26 minutes. This is gonna be the longest one. And yes, for sure, I think we do want to gravitate towards that now. We're also gonna chunk it up for easier posting, but for sure, the preference would be longer form podcasts for our creating. And as this is our business talk and how we are to operate and create, because again, if you're listening to this, we're new to this, so we have to we're trying to figure this out as we go, and that's great. Yeah, I totally agree. We're
Because in
gonna
full transparency, before starting the podcast, before making our regular business talks, turning it into a podcast, we were kind of insecure about um, the incentive behind it. We were like, we are not professional app developers or company owners, and we kind of felt like you need to be a professional in order for people to listen to you, or even in order for you to be confident in yourself to show what you're doing uh, to the outside world. But
hmm,
we slowly got to the realization that the naivete of us not knowing what we are doing, not that we don't know what we're doing, but the
we
naivete of
tried
us not
to.
being professionals and us winging the process is also valuable. Is also a form of value for people who are in the same stage, or
There's
for
a certain attraction that it brings because they see us and hopefully they can relate to it and see
Mhm.
themselves. And the
That has an
fact,
audience.
yeah, and the fact is, we also, I think, came to the realization that no one truly believes they're a professional. So I don't think that should hold anyone back because even if someone's truly, in the sense, on paper, is a professional doing something, as in their brain, it's sort of like imposter syndrome. Everyone walks around with it, and everyone thinks that they don't, they don't belong. They're not cut out for this. But the more you go, the more you see there's value in consistently showing up and doing the work that you have to do. I think that's what separates people that. So what I'm trying to say is everyone is insecure about professionalism and being a professional at what they do. And what separates people from actually achieve something, achieve a goal, now that could be a small goal or a big goal, within the bounds of their professionalism, is the people that, despite that feeling, go on, show up consistently, and work on their craft every single day. And that's kind of how you get results. And us talking to you guys, us trying to put our energy into this, is a way of us being responsible towards ourselves and holding ourselves responsible to pretty much do and work every single day.
Yeah, And speaking of discipline and consistency in order to achieve
Achieve.
any form of gains, we are going to the gym after this podcast.
Yes. We try to keep our physical health in check. Well, that's huge. Oh, a surprise. I'm gonna cover all the numbers and stuff, but our business account card is here with the name Stoop Inc.
Awesome. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll be using it a lot in the next few months. That's exciting. I saw it showing up on my RBC account, and I was like, ah, new credit card. It was lovely to see.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice. But yeah, okay, let's.
Slowly but surely. Did you hear the sound?
Yeah, hearing called. All right, I think that's it for today. 31 minutes.
Unprecedented. Oh, again, in full transparency, we are recording this with Riverside, and Riverside has a function where it removes the unwanted pauses in your conversation. So
Mm.
the 32 minutes that we recorded might
It's
turn
gonna
into
be
30.
it's gonna
But
be
don't be
less.
surprised if you see a shorter,
Yeah,
short.
it's just the pauses. Don't worry. Oh, before we leave, update your app, please. Version 1.2. Huge, as I just went over it, huge benefits to doing that in terms of what you post and the speeds and everything. So please update that. All
Awesome.
right.
Let's wrap. Okay,
Take
we're
care.
done.